Good morning, Sherlock. Oh, yes. Hi. Are you sitting in my lap? Thank you. Oh, yes. You want pets. Can you go up here? Can you go up there? Thank you, buddy. Yeah. I know. Oh, my gosh. Hi. Good morning. Hi, good morning. Good morning. Yes. Thank you. Hi friends, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Kristen and I am the creator behind DoSo Knits, my knitting channel where I talk to you guys how knitting has interwoven into my life, sharing my works in progresses, finished objects, and future things that I want to make. And if you're a returning viewer, thank you for coming back as always and for your support. I am so glad to have you here. So I'm sitting on the ground in front of my couch like I normally do when I record. Sherlock is right there. When I started trying to record, he sat in my lap and it was really cute. But today's video is episode 38 of my podcast, and in these episodes this is where I do share my works in progresses and finished objects and other crafty things every now and again. So other places you can find me, I am DoSo Knits here on YouTube, Instagram, and Ravelry. I keep all my project pages updated on Ravelry with patterns, yarn information, yarn weights, all that kind of information. And then on my Instagram, I share works in progress photos, finished objects, and I post to my stories quite often. So if you'd like to follow me those other places, that's where I am. So right up at the front today, I want to announce our giveaway winner from the last podcast episode. In episode 37, I shared this sock set. It is a sock set from Chromatic Yarns called Jester's Blueberry Cupcake. It's a 75% superwash blue face Leicester and 25% nylon, 100 gram main skein, and a 20 gram mini. It is such a beautiful color. I just would like to give it to a new home. It's similar to some other colors I have in my stash, and you all seemed super excited about it. So I just said in the last podcast episode to comment that you'd like the yarn and something else. And we had 45 different comments to choose from, and the random comment generator picked Stitch Itch as the winner. So they said, "I'd love that yarn. Poor Sherlock. We have had some storms this summer, and my Jack Chi wants to be held each time. You've been very productive this summer. Lots of gorgeous knits. Waiting for cool fall weather. Congratulations on the hat pattern. It looks like a fun knit." So thank you so much for your comment. I'm going to reply to your comment and announce it here. So if you see my reply, that is me reaching out to you. Yard work. Sorry, they decided to start doing yard work outside our open windows. So, Stitch Itch, I will be responding to your comment in addition to announcing it here, so that is me responding. Please reach out to me at my email, which is linked in the description box below, and I will get this mailed out to you. With that giveaway announcement, I don't have many other announcements at the beginning of this episode, so we can move into my finished objects for this podcast. I have quite a few to show you. So we'll circle back to one of my finished objects from the last episode because I did not have it here to show you guys. However, this is what my Stratified in person looks like. I think it looks so good. I'll make sure to enter some B-roll of me wearing it here so you can kind of see what it looks like. But I used 5 different skeins of Byroa yarn, which is a yarn from Retrosaria. It is 100% Portuguese wool. It is a worsted weight woolen spun yarn, and I have 5 different colors here. I only needed 1 skein of each color except for my main color, which is the one you start your collar with, and I needed 2 skeins of that. However, everything else was exactly the same. So that pattern is a pattern out of the Worsted book by La Bien Amie, and it's written by Tiff Nealon. It was such a fun sweater to make. I opted to do long sleeves and the full length body. There are instructions in the pattern to do 3/4 length sleeves and a cropped body, but I opted to do the longer version of both. And I just didn't have it last time to show you because it was on display at Fancy Tiger Crafts where I work. But now it is home and I'm ready for fall. So that is the twisted ribbing at the bottom. And then throughout each section you have the changing stripes, but you also have like a twisted section, some eyelets, and then different length stripes throughout. So it's just a really fun, mesmerizing, like you kind of want to keep working to the next stripe kind of pattern. I highly recommend it. This yarn was fabulous to work with. It's definitely woolen spun, so you can break it pretty easily, but the whole sweater overall is extremely light and airy. I love it so much. And it's finally starting to feel like fall here, maybe today. Today it is 27 degrees cooler than it was yesterday. Yesterday it was in the 90s, and today it's supposed to be like a high of 69, which is, I'm so happy. I'm so happy that it's cooling down. So I'm very excited to wear this, and that's my first finished object, Stratified by Tiff Nealon from the Worsted book. I'm sorry if the yard work outside is very loud. They normally do yard work on Thursdays, and today it is Friday. And I've closed all the windows, even though we had them all open because it was nice and cool out. We like the fresh air, but now they're just being so loud. So I'm sorry if it is extremely loud. It might not be. So the next finished object I have is one that was a work in progress last time, and I am so amazed that I finished this last month, but it became a real focus project to finish by the end of August, and I'm so glad I did. So this is my Grand Gesture shawl by Hoga Canyon. It's an exclusive pattern to her Patreon group, which is a knit and reading club, which is such a good time. So this was a shawl written for July and August was when these were going on. The books that kind of went with it were Book Lovers by Emily Henry. We had some other books in there as well, like The Bodyguard, which I ended up listening to. And I know there was so many rom-coms for the summer. So this is my finished shawl. I really, really love it. It looks so much better blocked out. I was really able to stretch it down. And so this pattern is written for a 100-gram skein of your main color. So my main color is this kind of oatmeal color throughout, and then it's definitely more prevalent in the back end. So this is Birch Hollow Fibers Sojourner Sock, and the color was oatmeal. And then all these other colors are 10-gram mini skeins. So you do 10-gram minis to do all these sections. And you can see the shape here is much shorter and like stouter. And then the pattern and shawl grows this way because you do short rows to get these wedge shapes throughout. So it's a really fun and addicting pattern because the short rows, when you start a new color or start a new short row section, they're so fast because it's only like 20, 30, 40 stitches, and then you just like keep adding on that increment to get to the full length, to get this full. So you're not doing completely back and forth the whole way. The longer sections at the end, it definitely became much longer to do those final rows, but I don't know, something about just like knitting to the next color was really fun and like motivating to do. I think this like shape is really fun. So that's kind of what it looks like. And I really like the colors I picked. So on my project page, because I used all Row 1 minis, so Row 1 is a mini skein subscription club, and I had so many left over. But each mini skein comes with the dyer and the name of the colorway. So on my project page, I have all 10 of these colorways listed with the dyer and how many grams of each I used, because one color I did run out of, and in another I was supposed to do like a different color bobble here, but I had a lot of my first color left and not enough of my color. I think it was supposed to be the yellow for this bobble. I didn't have enough to do this, so I used a different color total, but I think it overall worked out great. I love it. It looks so cute, and I'm ready for fall. So, Grand Gesture Shawl. It is an exclusive pattern to her Hookah Canyon's Patreon group. So, if you really want it, you gotta join the Patreon. Okay. I might just leave this on. I still need to get both finished object photos of me wearing this shawl and my Stratified, and then I will post them on my Instagram and update my Ravelry project pages when I get the photos, so you'll probably end up seeing those if you follow me over there a bit later once I get these photos done. It's been so hot at 90 degrees. I couldn't even fathom going outside and wearing this to get a photo. So now that it's cooled down, maybe we can get some photos this weekend. And then I only have 2 other finished objects for the month of August and heading into this next episode. So my first finished object are my August Says Vista Dye Work socks. So these are the socks that I finished for that month. I did these as DK Vanilla Weight Socks, which is a pattern by the Crazy Sock Lady. It is a free pattern on how to do DK socks with just a vanilla stockinette sock around. The yarn that I used was Desert Vista Dye Works Viso, which is her 75% superwash merino and 25% nylon. It's a fingering weight, but I held it double. I split my skeins into 2 50-gram cakes and then found where the stripes matched, where the color changes happened at the same time, and then held my yarns together throughout to get a nice DK sock. I think this is a really fun color. I like the Zombody colors because that's when you get these little variegation ones, which I think are so fun. So this colorway is called Zombody RU, which is an Alice in Wonderland inspired colorway, and I think it's really fun. So these socks are done. DK socks for the win on getting some fast socks done. I then have one more pair of finished socks. So these are my vanilla socks, Campfires and Fireflies by Bumblebee Acres. Here are my socks. I really like the colors. I think they look so good. I did a 2x2 rib, 15 rounds, a German short row heel with mini heel flap, which is a technique from Mina's Vanilla Sock Recipe. And then I knit 50 rounds for the foot before doing my toe. I used stitch markers to mark every 10 rounds on this sock, and then did it again for my second sock. I don't know how well you could tell, but this second sock, I might have to do a flat. This second sock is wider than the first sock, and it's much longer. And I think it's easier to see here. It's much wider. I don't know what happened with my gauge from the first sock that I did and the second sock. I did knit this sock a lot in the movies, so maybe I tightened up a bit, but I am so much looser on this sock. This sock fits me, and this sock fits Shane. So these do count as a finished object. However, I think I'm going to end up frogging this sock and reknitting it so that it fits me, because I really like this colorway and I'm really bummed out because this is too big. And even if I just undid the toe and ripped back, and just because I did the same amount of rows, but since my gauge was looser, it's too long. I could just rip back and knit it to the length of my foot. But since it is also too wide, it really looks funny. It really looks really, really funny. So I'll probably just end up reknitting this second sock. So it's done, and I might do like a recap when I finish the second one for the second time, but I probably won't show you the process along the way because I've showed these socks for quite a while. I don't know what happened. I've knit a ton of socks. You know, I feel like this is just more like a thing saying things happened. I've knit a ton of socks. I feel very confident knitting socks, but things can still go awry. I think it's because the Bumblebee Acres base, the croquette sock base, is a Corriedale and nylon base, which is absolutely lovely, but it is a bit thicker and a bit less stretchy, less givey versus like a merino. And so I think I kind of compensated on the first sock, tightening up, kind of like really taking account in for this different base. But then the second one, I was just more comfortable and didn't think about that. So I just was a lot looser. So I'll probably just end up ripping back to this cuff because the cuff is fine and starting over, and it will be fine. But this is this pair of socks and kind of the tail that goes along with it. It's fine. If I had enough yarn, I'd be tempted to just knit another pair and not rip it out, which I might weigh. So I have this much of my skein left, which is a good amount, but I only have this much of the mini. So maybe I just start another sock, see how far I can get with the cuff for the mini, how much I can get of the cuff from this mini, and then just knit as I go and maybe not do a contrast heel on the second one. Okay, I think that's the plan. Maybe I'll do that instead. That'll make me feel better versus ripping it out. Maybe I'll just have an extra. Maybe Shane can have a mismatched pair of socks in the future. Like that could be one. This could be one sock, and then I can make him another, and they won't match. We'll see. I don't really want to rip it out if I have enough to make another one. So maybe I'll just do a quick measurement and see how it goes. So we can now move into my works in progress that I've been working on. So over the last couple weeks when I've been knitting, I've actually been recording how much time it takes me to knit things. I've tracked all of my knitting time, and it's actually going to be another video, so be on the lookout for that. It should hopefully be up soon. But I was doing it to see how much I knit on an average day, what my average knitting time is, and how much I do in a week. And it's actually been very helpful to kind of plan for some of these projects that I'm currently working on. Since I've been recording, I can kind of look and be like, oh, I finished a repeat of this cable chart. How long has this taken me? Okay, it's taken me 2 hours to do this much, and I need to do this many cable repeats total, and I can just kind of better equate, okay, I do this much on an average day, it takes me this long to do this, so this times this equals how many hours, and then I can figure it out. I don't know. But the main thing I've been working on is my For Keeps cardigan by Samantha Gurin. This is currently in test knitting. It's should be coming out later this month, and I am in a race against the clock. And I know this because of my time tracking. I have a lot of knitting to do to get it to where I want it to be. But I showed this on my last podcast. Let me give you a little more information actually about the pattern. So it is a worsted weight cardigan that is knit to kind of look like a ribbing. I think it's called cartridge stitch. So it's actually just knits in a slip to end up making a really nice squishy ribbed-like fabric. Samantha has written it with 9 different sizes, with the smallest finished bust circumference being a 36 all the way up to a 67 inch. So many sizes included in there. I am knitting the size 5, which is a finished bust circumference of about 50 inches, and then for the sleeves I'm doing the sleeve of size 6. So this is where I'm at. So last time I showed you this little gnome with his little raincoat is where I was. I had just picked up my second front to knit down to the sleeve divide, and then you join in the round. Since then, I have knit both of my sleeves, and I am now on Body Island. So this is where I'm at. I can do a quick try on because I'm at an end of a row. I tried very hard to make sure I started recording when I was at an end of a row. With it being a cardigan, it's a little easier to try on the needles. I'm a little less concerned with it falling off, although I have had them fall off before. So this is kind of what it looks like. Look at it with my shawl. This is the cable going down the front, and then here are my sleeves. They are definitely a balloon sleeve, which I've not done before, but I really like so far. But this is the color so far, and this is where I'm at. Imagine this, but completed and longer. This color is exactly what I want in my wardrobe. I am so excited to have this cardigan. So I am knitting this on US 8 needles, and the yarn I am using is Knit Picks Wool of the Andes worsted weight. I am not using the superwash. It is the non-superwash, and the colorway is Brass Heather. This is 100% Peruvian Highland wool, and it is a worsted weight with 110 yards per 50 grams. So they are in 50 gram balls, which is actually kind of, as much as it's annoying to weave in extra ends, because they're 50 grams instead of 100, it is very satisfying to finish one and start another skein. So I have completely finished the sleeves and moved on to the body. So overall, I decided to do the sleeves first because I want to end up lengthening the body of the cardigan, which is why I'm a little bit in a time crunch. It's because I want to make a really long cardigan for the fall because I feel like that's what this needs to be in my life. So I did the sleeves first so that all the remaining yarn that I know I have enough for the body. And whether I run out and like that determines how long it is, or I can get to a point and I'm like, this is the length I want, I know I'll be good. So for the sleeves, like I mentioned, I am doing the size 5, but for the sleeves, but when I did the sleeve separation, I went to the size 6. It was about an inch longer on each side so that my sleeve was a bit bigger. And then for the rapid decrease, Samantha has 1 decrease in the pattern, and I knit my cuff with that amount and then tried it on, and it was too loose for my wrist. So I actually went back and I did a second decrease round to take out another 10 stitches so that my actual ribbing is half the amount of the amount you have for the sleeve. So if there was 80 on my sleeve, there's 40 on my cuff, versus it was like 50 in the pattern. The extra 10 is perfect. I love how it looks. I think the balloon sleeve is really nice. I tried this all on and was able to like look at it and see how it looked. And I'm really thrilled with the fit of how this is looking. So I'm now, like I've mentioned, just on the body. The body, you have this cable chart as well, which is really nice at each end. And what's nice about the cartridge stitch in knitting flat is there are no purl stitches. It's only a knit and a slips. The only purl stitches in my body part are in like these purl stitches in the cable. However, when you are doing it in the round, you are alternating like a knit 3 slip 1 round and a purl 3 slip 1 round. So I think the sleeves might have taken me a little bit longer versus how long it takes me to do the body. But the body rounds definitely feel much longer compared to these sleeve rounds. So I'm making progress each day. I'm trying to do at least 2 repeats a day on the body, 2 cable chart repeats, which is 8 rounds total, to then get this super long. So far, I've used, this is my super scientific method of counting how many skeins I've used. I just keep all the ball bands in one of these little bags that I have. I am on my 10th ball of brass heather, and I have 19 total. So I think I will definitely be able to get the length that I want. The pattern is written to go to 10 inches from the sleeves, and I'm looking closer to like 15 to 20. I measured another cardigan and it was 20. So that's where I want to be. I've done about 5 inches from the sleeve right now. So I have a lot of knitting to do, but it's so squishy and lovely. I've knit another sweater out of Wool of the Andes by Samantha Gurin. Wool of the Andes I think is just a really nice budget-friendly yarn, and I really feel like this cartridge stitch is doing it justice. Like, it's so plump and nice in this cardigan. Highly recommend it. I'm so excited for this cardigan. I have also been working on another cardigan, and you know what it is because I mentioned the yarn in my last episode of my podcast, episode 37, and in my Stash In and Stash Out for August. Showed the yarn again and mentioned the project that I'm doing. So this is my Winter's Beach cardigan by Andrea Mowry. It is a cardigan with cables, and it was originally designed with Hedgehog Fibers Tweedy. The pattern is a DK weight, and sizes are from a finished bust of 39.5 inches to 75 inches with about 6 to 10 inches of positive ease. I am knitting the size 4, which is a 50-inch bust. Again, both my cardigans are about a 50-inch bust. The yarn I am using is Hedgehog Fibers Tweedy in the colorway Future Reflections. So it is a 50% Falkland Merino wool, 37.5% recycled wool, and then 12.5% Madeline Tosh thread waste. So it's a DK weight for 230 meters and 100 grams, and this is the color. So this blue is Future Reflections, which is a collaboration that Tweedy, Hedgehog Fibers Tweedy, and Madeline Tosh did together. So that's why all the tweed bits are from Madeline Tosh. I work at Fancy Tiger, like I mentioned, and we are one of the few stores that was lucky enough to carry this yarn. And we still have a little bit left. We have both this blue and a yellow, but this is where I'm at. These are my swatches. I had to swatch so much for this cardigan. First I swatched with the incorrect stitch pattern, and I could not hit gauge. So future the moral of that story is swatch with the right stitch pattern. I ended up doing moss stitch, seed stitch, 1 by 1. And then it was actually supposed to be a 2 by 2. And it was able to hit gauge. I'm still down 3 needle sizes from what is recommended in the pattern. But this is how far I am. I am still on the ribbing, the bottom ribbing. But this is kind of what it looks like. That's as far as I am. So I am using a US 3 for my ribbing and a US 5 for the body. And the pattern is written for a US 8 for the body. I don't know. I find it all very relative. It's fine. I don't mind knitting on this size needles. My gauge is still the same. My garment is still going to be the same size. And I'm still getting the same number of stitches per inch that other people are on bigger needles. It's just the needles that I have to use. I am knitting this because at Fancy Tiger we are hosting a knit along right now called the Winter's Beach Cal. It's open to both in-store and online, so if you want to knit this cardigan, you can enter in for prizes using the hashtag FTC Winter's Beach Cal on Instagram and tag Fancy Tiger. We'll be pulling prizes for the best work in progress and the best finished object photo, and then there are both in-person craft nights and virtual craft nights kind of going around this. All the information will be in the description box if you want to join. Nope, you don't have to, but just letting you know. That's why I'm knitting this. I'm really liking it. I will say, so the cast on for this pattern is kind of a, it's a cast on. It's 300 plus stitches. I did a cable cast on because then you don't have to worry about your tail running out, which is really nice. But the hard thing about this cast on is, if you can kind of see, you may not be able to, but you have like a knit 2, purl 2, knit 2, purl 2, knit 2, purl 2, knit 1, purl 2, knit 2, purl 1, knit 1, purl, so it alternates a lot between knit 1s, purl 1s, knit 2s, purl 2s, but it's to feed into the cables later. But the first 2 rows definitely take a lot of focus to get set up. But now that I'm set up, it's much easier. I really like seeing it. I did most of this at the craft night on Tuesday and working on it. This will be more of a focus once my For Keeps is done. But then the Stephen West Mystery Knit Along will be right around the corner, so we'll see. We'll see if we finish this in time. The knit along is going until October 31st. So there's still time to join. I'm only on the ribbing. You can be in the caboose with me. Okay. I do have a couple other projects. I have worked very, very minimally on my Inclinations cowl. I'll show a bit more of that next time, I think. That one's kind of been moved to maintenance. There's just not a lot to show on that one. But I have done a little bit more on my Patreon Daydreamer Socks. So if you follow me on Instagram, you'll have seen that I have finished the heel flap on these socks. And I'm now on the gusset decreases and then onto the foot. I have already done the first one. So this yarn is from A Homespun House, one of her Patreon colors. It is Daydreamer for the blue and Amethyst for the purple. I did 40-ish rounds for the leg and 20 rounds for the cuff. Slip stitch heel flap with a garter edge. And then I have 60 rounds for my foot. So this is where I'm at. I set aside time to do this heel flap so that it is now more easy to do on the go. The heel flap, I have to like spend time at home doing that to get it done, but glad I've done it, and this is now a much more on the go project. And I love that sock base from a homespun house. It's so nice and easy to work with on my ChowGoo 9-inch circulars, which are US 0, 2mm, and I just love it. I do have one last thing I want to show you. I got very inspired from Kay of the Crazy Sock Lady and her DK granny square blanket that she was making, and I want to do the same thing. So I have put all of my row 1 minis into this bag, which is a bag from 31, but I put all of my knitting pins on here, and I have started a granny square blanket because I've had dreams of a like granny square blanket with giant squares, like 12 to 14 inch squares, and with it being DK, I'm very excited about it. So I worked on it a little bit on a Sunday and haven't done much since, but this is my one square that I have so far. And I've actually done a lot more crocheting than what is shown here, because I was doing it until I ran out of a color and then just picking up the new one. And then I was going to get to the end and just join, like when I get to a certain number of rounds, figure out how big I wanted it and decide. But then I looked at it and realized I really want to change colors when my squares are complete. So I've been playing a game of, can I do another round of orange with what I have left? And it's like, no, and then I have to rip out. And like the same with the pink, I was like, can I do a third round to see? So once I get this like first foundation square done, I think I'll be okay. The purple square now, I know I could only get one, but I had a good amount of yarn left. So now I know 10 grams isn't enough to do 2 rounds, but I think I'll be able to do lots of different single rounds total. I'm going to start weighing how much yarn it takes on each round so that I know for future, so I can, because like this is how much of that purple I have left. There's a good amount. So like I might have enough to do like this round in another square. So I'm gonna get the weights of how much each round takes to really use as much yarn up as I can. But that's basically all it is. I'm pretty excited about it. I'm using a 4mm needle. Nothing really special. I think these are Knit Pro needles. But this is just nice to pick up. Do it really quick. I'm excited for the finished object of it. But with that, that's basically all the things I've been working on over the last 2 weeks. My focus is my 4 keeps and getting it done before the deadline. And then my secondary focus is getting as much done as I can before the end of the month because of the mystery knit along starting on October 6th. So I guess technically I'm trying to figure out how much I can get done before October 6th. I do have my yarn picked out for my Desert Vista Dyework socks this month. So this is my chosen color. This is Blue Ridge Parkway. Very fall, ready for fall. This is my chosen color for the month. I think I'm just going to do a ribbed pair of socks. I've been craving a ribbed sock, and I think this will be really nice for it. Haven't decided yet if they're going to be for me or for Shane yet, but we'll see. But with that, that is basically everything that I have for you guys. We are going down to the Springs today, so I need to go and get ready. Down to Colorado Springs. I need to go and get ready for that. I will get this edited and get it up. And remember, there is a video coming soon about how much I knit in a week. How much do you think I knit on a day, on average? Leave it in the comments below. I'm curious to see how much you guys think I knit in a day, and we'll see who's the closest. But as always, thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked the video, please feel free to give it a thumbs up. And if you want to subscribe to know when I post my future videos, it'll pop up in your feed. And you can turn on notifications so none of them get lost in the YouTube algorithm. Thank you for hanging out in my little corner of the internet with me today. Thank you for clicking. Thank you for watching. And I hope you're putting a little bit of love in every stitch you're making. I will see you guys again really soon. It is just very similar to some other yarns that I have. Oh my gosh. Sorry, frog in my throat. It's just going to be there, I guess. I set a time...